BLUELOCK has just revealed the new Gen 11 for England, Teddy Knight, in one of the most interesting ways possible. Asking BLUELOCK to throw the game, dribbling past our whole defensive line, and trying to kill Bachara, it's not crazy to say Teddy might be one of the most unusual characters we've seen. But from just his introduction alone and the first egoless player at the U20 World Cup, we know he will be super important to England's team and the game as a whole. And that's why we need to take a deeper look at his character before the game even starts, as I believe we can crack Teddy's character, which not only affects the BLUELOCK team, but this final group stage match that decides both their fates. Firstly, we need to go over what we already know so we can further look at what's hidden. Teddy has amazing dribbling skills, and as a wingback, this is different than a pure winger where he can drop back and push up along the wings, balancing both the defense and offense. Now we only know that much about his skills, but there are so many key takeaways here. Firstly, wingbacks are usually played in a 5 or 3 back formation, basically 5 or 3 defenders, but we've seen in Loki's goal against England, him passing only 3 defenders, so we're most likely seeing a 3 back from England. In terms of formation as well, we can actually accurately predict it. I think they'll most likely run a 3-5-2 formation, which I'll be explaining later. Some things that weren't explicitly said in the chapter: we see Teddy kick the ball at Bachara using his right foot, so he's most likely right-footed. Unless he plays inverted, which I doubt, he'll be on that right side, which makes a lot of sense with his position since he can get a lot of crosses on his dominant foot. The reason why I think Teddy is more of a crosser as well has to do with his mentality on football, calling himself a worthless puppet and having no ego. This line of dialogue is super important for our theory and predictions, and was a pretty shocking revelation in the first place. This is the first time we've seen a character in BLUELOCK say something like that, and this is where the theory branches off, because I think it has to do something with this Fox guy he mentioned in the chapter as well. Yes, the Five Nights at Freddy's gang is here, coincidentally named Teddy and Fox. Kaneshiro tried sneaking his name in here, but we all know he will be an important character. Teddy specifically says that Fox was the person who told him to go to the BLUELOCK training field, already showcasing that this wasn't even his choice. He just tries to leave right after doing what he's told, he forgot how to act on his own, and he refers to himself as a puppet. So all the evidence is pointing towards Fox having a control over Teddy. Now there is the possibility of Fox being a coach, in which this whole theory goes out the window, but considering Teddy's position as a wingback, we can guess Fox is a forward for England. Wingbacks on offense could get really good crosses off, and if Fox is a forward, he'll probably be demanding all of those passes from Teddy for himself. In terms of formation, it's either a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2. Coincidentally, both were played in Munchen City. We also have 3 defenders from Munchen playing for the England team, but I think a 3-5-2 makes more sense because narratively, we have Teddy as a wingback supporting Fox as a forward on the right, and Augie from Munchen on the left, since he literally played this position in the exact same formation. Narratively, I know Augie is not confirmed to play for England. Just because he plays for an English club doesn't mean he's English and plays for them. Same logic applies to Noel Noah, who's French but plays for Germany's Bastard. But y'all, I feel like that would just be a cop-out from Kaneshiro to not have him in here. Keep in mind, he is like the only memorable player we know from an English club, and they included Busby. Like, who cares about Busby? It would be excluding Augie just for the sake of excluding him. Also, if we do some math, the France U20 had 5 players from PXG, including Loki as a forward, Charles a midfielder, Gavin and Chappa are defenders, and Rook is a goalkeeper. England right now are confirmed to have 4 Munchen players, Arthur a midfielder, Young and Busby are defenders, and Rook is a goalkeeper. The only position we're missing is a forward. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. If Kaneshiro decides to keep 5 players from one club, just like the France game, Augie as a forward is most likely that last one for the England team, mirroring that France formation. So Augie on the left side and Fox on the right side, and Teddy as a right wing back. It already sounds like a super strong formation, and narratively, those 2 forwards will be the shining stars supported by Teddy's passing. That much we can assume or break down from his introduction alone, but let's talk a little bit about his formation. They all play to their strengths. Augie, being a super tall, lengthy player, can receive crosses from Teddy on the right. And Augie fits perfectly as a target man, so Fox could be a poacher running around the box, getting in perfect positions to score. There is literally a term for this called Fox in the box. It just makes sense. And it's not just the formations we can make predictions about. I want to go more in depth with Augie, Fox, and Teddy's characters too. I mentioned earlier how Fox has almost a control over Teddy. I think that'll be safe to assume. The fact that Teddy resulted to violence because this was a second option from Fox, yeah, Fox is about to be some crazy guy who has control over Teddy and literally command commanded him to go eliminate the Blue Lockers. So when we enter the England game originally, we obviously have to introduce Teddy and Fox, so we'll see that dynamic being showcased at the start. And this is where we can solve this game too. I think over time throughout the England game, although the Teddy and Fox duo is strong and managed to reach that far, there's only so far you can go with codependency like that, especially since Teddy has no ego. If there was one theme for this England game, it would be about ego. I mean, Isagi asking what is ego, Jinpachi ego defining it himself, the Blue Lockers in this chapter were literally asking about what their egos are chasing, and Teddy saying he has no ego. So that'll be the central focus for this match, and especially for Teddy. So some way, somehow, maybe being influenced by the Blue Lockers or Isagi, because Kaneshiro loves Isagi and wants him to do everything, Teddy will most likely gain an ego, especially if we consider his eyes. It's common knowledge that eyes are super important for Blue Lock. Teddy has dull, almost soulless eyes, and we saw Hugo have no pupils, but then once he goes against Isagi, he suddenly has them. So in this case, I believe Teddy's eyes will eventually change just like Hugo's did once he breaks free from being a puppet. So we're gonna see a scenario where a new Gen 11 player's ego awakens mid-game, and we already seen what Teddy can do, so once he awakens, it might be over for us. And that's what I mean, it'll present such a huge obstacle for the Blue Lockers, and maybe we even see a goal from him, and Blue Lock has to stop him in order to win this game. I personally feel like the way they'll approach Teddy's ego awakening is from another player's ego awakening. That being Kunigami, the only other player who has technically thrown away his ego too. So you can see how the dots are connecting between them. The England game is all about ego and origin, the motherland of football. Rin is on the bench, so that leaves open another spot as a forward. Kunigami can take that spot, get development, go back to square one, which they stated word for word, reawaken his ego, and score a goal. I know some people are gonna say Kunigami is just a defender, but remember that Kunigami wanting to be a superhero specifically came from him referring to strikers that score goals. So if Kunigami reawakens his superhero ego, it will be through him scoring. And if someone who threw away their ego like Kunigami suddenly gains one, I see that as maybe the catalyst for Teddy's awakening too. That's personally my theory on how Teddy awakens. It could just be the plain and simple Isagi helps awaken his ego like he's done for many others. But I honestly don't want Isagi to do that. I understand he's the main character. I'm not complaining. I just feel like it would be cool for another character to inspire him like that. I feel like most of the development will be on Teddy and Fox. Agi will likely be the Charles of the England game, where we're familiar with his character. He'll probably score a goal, but nothing too insane development-wise. If anything, I feel like Agi would be a good captain for the team too. He most likely is, because Teddy doesn't seem like one, and Fox seems a little crazy in the head to be captain, which is just as important. Fox and his personality, I think he'll be a manipulative, sly character, which checks out with his name being Fox. The signature England players we know, Chris Prince and Adam Blake, are known for their physiques, and it's been a while since we had a physical player in the series, so I feel like through process of elimination, he might be a physical player. In terms of playstyle, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but since Teddy is a crosser, I feel like Fox will just constantly be occupying the box, running around to score. I truly just don't see him taking any further shots. It'll be someone that can abuse physical duels in the box, muscle anyone out, and win to score goals. Another prediction is I think this game will be the first U20 match where we see some yellow cards finally come out, and Fox will most likely get one injuring another player, which does check out if he's a physical forward. In my formation video, I said Barou is most likely the one to get injured since he already scored, and Kaneshiro needs to highlight the other forwards, like Rin's return, Nagi's return, Kunigami's return, and Shido's first goal. If Barou does get injured, Kunigami can replace him as a forward, and that means he can match up with Fox physically, so that checks out too. Eventually as well, if Teddy does awaken his ego and starts playing for himself, Fox will not like that. He'll probably be crashing out because he's not just controlling him anymore. Remember that this England game, narratively, Japan has to win. We can't draw because of a lower goal difference, and I guess it is a hard realization that Teddy will be getting grouped, but I feel like the way this theory plays out, it makes a lot of sense. Teddy is still growing as a character, understanding his ego, and we see the potential there. It's just that Blue Lock has been doing it for longer, and that's why they've won. But now you can see how all this development affects the game itself. I think we'll see a first goal from Teddy and Fox, showcasing their abilities and introducing us to how big of a threat they are. Blue Lock at the start will still be figuring out what they want to do, as well as they're running a new formation. So yeah, I don't see a world where they score first. In fact, I think Agi will score before the Blue Lockers, giving England the 2-0 lead, and then we see Shido score because there is so much narrative backing that one up. He didn't score in the France game. Everyone says he needs a passer, and it would give him such a much needed upscale if he were to score a solo goal. Kunigami, after his awakening, brings the score 2-2. Teddy awakening gives England the lead again, 3-2. Yukimiya or someone else equalizes it at 3-3, and then the game will be both teams going for the win, and of course, Japan getting that last goal. That last goal could be through Rin's Awakening too, since it was hyped up before the game. As much as I do want to say Rin, I feel like Isagi or someone else might get it instead, but only time will tell. But anyways, that about wraps it up for my video on Teddy and how I think this game is already solved. I will say Teddy's character is so interesting. We already know he'll be affecting the rest of the game development-wise, and this game seriously has the potential to be the best out of the group stage games. Quick reminder, y'all, this is a day 1, week 1 theory. We're basing this off of 3 lines of dialogue, so take it all with a grain of salt. I just think Teddy's a very interesting character, so I wanted to make this theory quickly. Leave all your thoughts down below. What do you think of his character? What do you think will happen? Do you agree or disagree with me? Right here is a video on my perfect formation for BLUELOCK against England, so make sure to check that one out for more BLUELOCK content like this.